Hello there.
General Kenobi!
You are listening to Mando Talk, your home for the Mandalorian chapter breakdowns, speculation, and all kinds of Star Wars fun. What is up, Ugnaughts and Jawas out there? This is your host, Caleb Keller, here coming to you outside of our normal episode schedule to address the Gina Carano situation. Before we dive into it, be sure to follow us on all social media accounts at Mando Talk. We will have those links in the description, in the YouTube video, also in the podcast episode. Also, if you are watching on YouTube, be sure to go ahead and click that subscribe button while you are here. To see more Mandalorian and Star Wars talk. I think I have a theory video actually that you will want to see and listen to coming soon, so go ahead and click that bell to be notified when that video drops as well, since you're already here. So let's go ahead and dive straight into this, and before we begin, I want to stress to everyone watching that I will not be sharing my political opinions, thoughts, views, or any of that in this video podcast episode. I'm only sharing the saga of Gina Carano, if you will. And sharing that, what I'm going to be focusing more so on is what it means for the Mandalorian moving forward, or at least that's my goal, to try to focus more so on that. So, just again, to be clear, I know and talk Star Wars, not politics. So if you're interested in a political take, this isn't the content for you. So I hope this is as even keel as possible, and please let me know what you think of the situation, what you think following me sharing my thoughts and my discussion piece on it, and you can do that in the comments on YouTube or tweet at us at Mando Talk to hear, or for me to see your thoughts on the situation. So here is why she got let go at Lucasfilm, point blank, and it is 2 words: social media. This isn't the first time that has happened in the Hollywood industry, nor the first time it's ever happened in just the profession industry of just working, okay? So it seems like it's one of those things that we see and hear a lot more often now these days, and especially when it's Star Wars. I mean, obviously you're probably going to hear more and more about it because it's the biggest franchise that's been out there and probably ever will be out there. So let's just go ahead and do it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read through the timeline, the events that transpired on Gina Carano's social media that led to this decision a few days ago. Okay. Gina Carano used her social media platforms to discuss the following. The first one, endorsing that the pandemic was a hoax to benefit the Democratic Party. In response, Disney reached out to her agency to share concern of how the company is reflected in social media posts. There's the first instance. Second instance, she supported the idea that the election had been fixed. In response, Disney reached out to her agency to share concern for a second time. Third instance included Beep Boop Bop in her Twitter bio to poke fun at the transgender community. In response, Disney has a sit-down conversation with her agency and Gina herself to, quote-unquote, implore her to understand that her social media actions reflect the company and were putting them in a difficult situation. At this point, this is when Star Wars Twitter divides into 2, just like it divided into 2 with The Last Jedi. And you see the hashtag Fire Gina Carano start trending probably almost weekly, because every time The Mandalorian would come out with a new episode on Friday in the month of November, hashtag Fire Gina Carano would come with it because she would be in that episode, and that would just get everyone fueled up to say that. But also on the opposite side of that, the hashtag We Love Gina Carano would pop up as well. So like I said, divided. But at this point, this whole Fire Gina thing started. It wasn't just the past few days ago. This has been going on for quite some time now. So, following this meeting, Gina promises Disney to adjust her social media habits. Gina releases a statement as well. She says, Pedro Pascal helped me understand why people were putting them in their bios. I didn't know before, but I do now. I won't be putting them in my bio, but good for all you who choose to. I stand against bullying, especially the most vulnerable, and freedom to choose. Now, I'm going off script here a little bit. Obviously, those of you watching YouTube know that I'm looking at some notes here because I want to make sure that I say the things that need to be said and I don't veer off too much from that. But while I'm thinking about it, Pedro Pascal. A lot of people are bringing up the point that Pedro, back in November as well, shared a post to Instagram, I believe, that was comparing Trump supporters to Nazis. And so people were like, well, how come he didn't get in trouble? How come he didn't get fired? And so, according to sources that I typically watch and listen to, and honestly, a lot of these things I'm getting from are John Campia. He's one of my favorite YouTubers out there. He's one of the guys that got me into this. He came out and said that he's hearing from people that he knows, and typically this is pretty on point, that also Pedro had a sit-down conversation, or not necessarily, I don't know if it was sit-down conversation, but he heard from Disney, basically, at least his agency, and then the agency came to him, or they just went straight to him. I'm not sure. But Disney came to him whatsoever way to share with him that they didn't want him to share that stuff on social medias at that moment either. So he got a warning from Disney as well whenever he posted that post that Trump supporters were like Nazis. So I just want to go ahead and throw that fact out there as well while Pedro came up. Okay, so those three things, those three instances with Gina, they happened back in 2020. Back in November specifically is when all of this went down, but she's been sharing some thoughts like that since way back in the summer when all of the coronavirus and all the different social injustice things that were going on back in the summer. She started using that platform to voice her opinions on that, which is A-okay. But these things that I've been sharing so far have been the most recent ones, as recent as back in November. Okay, but here's the past week. Here's what happened in the past week that caused all of this to go down. Gina shares a post that states the following. I'm just going to go ahead and read it. It says, Jews were beaten in the streets, not by Nazi soldiers, but by their neighbors, even by children. Because history is edited, most people today don't realize that to get to the point where Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. How is that any different from hating someone for their political views? Okay, so that post originally came from another account. Those were not her words. She was just sharing a post that she saw. I guess she felt compelled to share it, so she shared it. Now, many people interpreted that to say that American conservatives are treated like Jews during the Holocaust, and the Hollywood Reporter included that interpretation in their nation-sweeping article. So at this point, whenever you probably talk to a random person and you talk about the Gina Carano situation, they're probably going to say, yeah, she got fired because she's saying that American conservatives are treated like Jews were during the Holocaust. But the Holocaust wasn't mentioned inside that post. I don't know. Again, I don't really want to dive too deep into that. I'm just sharing the facts. You can make of that with what you want to do. But anyway, the post is then later deleted, and it is then reported by the Hollywood Reporter, including the Lucasfilm statement released later in that night that Gina Carano had in fact been let go at Lucasfilm. Okay, so that is the timeline of events that led to this moment. Now, I think some of us out there might not have known about all the other different instances and the fact that Disney gave her consecutive warnings. I mean, they gave her 2, I guess, letting the agency know, and then they had 1 sit-down conversation where she promises to switch it up a little bit, and obviously that changed the past week. So, here are my thoughts on the situation. 1, do not think that Disney enjoys doing this. Cara Dune was a character that was loved following season 1, and she was going to be involved in future projects. Future projects for Disney means money, and Disney is in the business of making money, okay? And they were going to make a ton of money off of Gina Carano's Cara Dune in future Mandalorian seasons, as well as future projects. So apparently they were going to announce a Gina Carano Cara Dune project during the December investors meeting, but because all of this happened, because she got 3 warnings in the month of November, they decided not to announce it to see how things went. So yeah, they're hurting by this because they are losing money, well, potential money. They're not actually losing money currently. They're just losing the possibility of making a ton of money off of the character. Okay, so that was my first thought. Don't think that Disney enjoys doing this. They're in the business of making money. Second thing, Gina Carano has the right to post her opinions, as we all do, and Disney has the right to decide who represents their company. And you have the right to support Disney or not in response to this. That's completely up to you. I know when this all went down, one of the first things that started trending was hashtag cancel Disney Plus. And if you want to cancel Disney Plus, you can. That is your right. But while you're canceling Disney Plus, you might want to cancel all the other streaming platforms, though, because I guarantee you they have all had a situation just like this. You just haven't heard about it because it's not Star Wars. Again, Star Wars is the biggest franchise out there. You're going to hear about it when things like this happen. Okay, that's my thoughts on that. Gina has the right to post her opinions, as we all do. Disney has the right to decide who represents their company. That's my second point. Third point, I don't think we should feel bad for Gina if Disney gave her 2 warnings, a sit-down meeting, and after she makes promises to change her social media. Obviously, Disney gave her ample amount of opportunity to switch things up if she wanted to keep working for the company, and she decided she didn't want to, which is completely fine. She wants to be free to say what she wants to say, and obviously Disney wasn't giving her that opportunity, so great for her. If she wants to have a platform where she can speak for people that feel that way, then go for it. Obviously, I think she's honestly kind of getting what she wants to do. I mean, she prefers to have the freedom to share whatever she wants to on social media. Disney prefers to not have their workers share what they feel like they want to share on social media, obviously, because they also talked to Pedro Pascal about what he said. So yeah, good for her. If she wants to share those things, then yeah, she had to get kind of away from Disney in order to do so. So I don't really feel bad for her in this situation. It sounds like she's getting to do what she wants to do. Okay, and then the last thing I wanted to say, and again, just to stress this point, not interested in talking politics with this. I have friends and family who are on both sides of the politics, and I would do anything I could for them. And I don't have the credibility to talk politics. I have the credibility to talk Star Wars. I know Star Wars, not politics. So those were my thoughts. I didn't want to get into political thoughts on it, but those were my general thoughts, just looking at it, again, even kill on the situation. Okay, so let me know what you think about those things. Let me know what you think about my thoughts on do not think that Disney enjoyed doing this. Gina Carano has the right to post what she wants, and Disney has the right to have people hired that they want. And I don't think we should feel bad for Gina. I think she's getting to do exactly what she wants to do. Now, we're going to venture away from that. We're going to actually talk more about Star Wars and The Mandalorian with this situation, which I'm pumped to do. And I'm going to share why this stinks for The Mandalorian. And my first point with that is I love the character. I think Cara Dune's character was very strong, powerful, and a lot of young girls out there probably really related to the character and loved her. I loved her. And I know all of us at Mando Talk loved her, and we're super bummed that Gina Carano is no longer going to be Cara Dune. Now, I thought the character was going to be an integral part of the Mandoverse. And again, I think that goes back to Disney is in the business of making money, and they're losing the potential of making a ton of money with the character. And I thought her character was incredible in season 1. Chapter 4, I mean, I think that was one of my favorite episodes whenever her and Din Djarin trained the villagers to take on all these raiders that were destroying their crops, their livelihood. And her character just continued to grow. I mean, later in that season, she got more involved with saving Baby Yoda at the time, the child. That's what everyone knew him as. And now, even in season 2, the action scenes that she had, man, they were awesome. And yes, Gina Carano is not the best actress whatsoever, but her physicality and her physical presence, top notch. And I don't think you can find someone, if they're going to replace her, to meet that level, at least in my personal opinion currently, because I just haven't seen someone else like it. But anyway, and yeah, that takes me to my next point. Do the showrunners, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, do they drop the character or do they recast? So dropping the character, that could look like all kinds of different things. If they drop the character, they could, A, just mention her name, mention that she's back on Navarro being the marshal. B, they could mention that she passed doing something. C, they could just not mention her and never talk about her again, which I think would kind of be weird only because she's been a very important character so far. But honestly, yeah, like I said, she's been an important character, but I haven't thought that she's been too integral in the role or in the show. And what I mean by that is they could easily come up with a new character if they wanted to fit that same role of being just the physical, awesome warrior that helps Din Djarin on his journeys. They could easily come up with a new character for that. I just don't want to come up with a new character for it because I loved the background that we were getting, the hints, the teases of Cara Dune as far as her being from Alderaan. We know that to be the place that Princess Leia grew up, and I was always curious if they were somehow interconnected in some way. And I don't know if we're ever going to get that. So the only way we do get that is if she is recast. Now, if you think she should be recast, jump down in the comments on YouTube or reach us on Twitter at Mando Talk if you're listening on the podcast, who you think she should be recast or who you think should play Cara Dune moving forward. I would love to see that because I'm not somebody that can just look at a list of actresses in this situation and pick, oh, that one looks like it'd be Cara Dune. And I'm interested to see if Dave and Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, are interested in having someone else play Cara Dune. I mean, when they started this show, they had the vision that Gina Carano was Cara Dune. So it might be hard for them to get out of that mindset. So let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about the idea of dropping the character, leaving the character in the past, or completely recasting her. Okay, and my last thing that I want to talk about is that Gina Carano could make amends somehow in the future and come back later down the road. Similar to the James Gunn situation, he was the director of Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2. He was let go because of social media posts, and a year later, they made amends. He's now working on Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So I'm curious if that's a possibility. Currently, right now, with the situation, I don't see that being a possibility, but that would be my preference, is for people to make amends, be happy with each other, and continue with the story. Now, what that means then is I don't think we are going to get, if that's a possibility, if Gina Carano coming back as Cara Dune is a possibility, I don't think we're going to get a mention of Cara Dune in Season 3 of The Mandalorian or anything that they're shooting right now. Because if they don't mention her whatsoever, and Gina Carano does happen to somehow come back as Cara Dune later down the road, it could just be an easy transition back into it. Like, leave the situation alone, story-wise. That way, when Season 4 or 5 come back around and you've made a decision on what to do with Cara Dune, it doesn't seem like you're having to retract steps that you already made previously in response to the situation previously, if that makes sense. But anyway, those are all of my thoughts. I love the character of Cara Dune. I hate that we might lose that character. I thought that character was going to be an integral part of the Mandoverse. I'm curious to see what Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau do as far as the character goes. Do they drop the character? Do they recast the character? Do they just mention the character? And I do think that it is possible. Never take out the possibility that both sides make up and that Gina Carano could come back and play Cara Dune later down the road. Well, listen, guys, you let me know what you think about the situation. Let me know what you think about the timeline, the saga of Gina Carano. Let me know what you think about the story of The Mandalorian, where it could go from here, how they could incorporate Cara Dune back into the story, or just completely leave it alone. Let me know what you think on that opinion. And yeah, that's really all that I have. Again, I hope I was as even kill as possible. I wasn't interested in going political with this. I was just trying to share even kill right down the middle the situation that was going on to those of you out there that might not know all the full details. Well, listen, guys, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Mando Talk. Smash the subscribe button, the like button, comment on the YouTube video so we can talk to you a little bit more. We love doing that. That's the best part of it. And you have a great week. Just have a great week. Forget all this negativity. If this has been bumming you out, I promise you Star Wars is going to be fine. They've got great stories coming out soon. And Mando Talk's always going to be here to talk about those stories. We're going to share our thoughts on it. We always love to hear your thoughts on it. Be safe this week. Have a great week. And we have spoken.